talk a little bit about consciousness?
Of course. That's my main thing.
Well, please do.
It's actually everything. I mean, we're both using it right now. I
Yes.
guess that you're going to have to be a little bit more specific because it is so vast that the subject matter of consciousness could go on and on and on in so many different directions and on so many levels.
Yeah.
So if you can be a little bit more specific, we can get there. Absolutely.
To be honest, I really don't know how I could be specific.
Well, just make up an example that leads to what it is you're curious about.
Your consciousness comes in, right, and speaks.
Okay.
Correct.
So, all right. So that's a perspective, and that perspective, for me, is almost exactly like you said it. So we have these levels. Okay. So there's the present moment consciousness that is you and I talking right now. We're in the present moment. We're looking at one another. We're saying things to one another, and we are in the present moment. If you say something that brings up a fear in me, then the subconscious mind's going to come up and start saying all this crap to me about fear of what you said, right? So that's where the subconscious comes into
Yeah.
play in the present moment. So my present consciousness is going to get disrupted by my subconscious because of something you said that brought up fear. Now, when we are trying to solve a problem in our present consciousness, like you and I are right now, let's just say that we have something that is a problem that needs to be solved by us, and we're looking for the answer. That comes in, okay? And it comes in because what we believe of everything that we learned, we believe is stored inside of our heads. It's not. It's actually stored in this field. Okay, so there's the feeling of it coming in, but it's coming in from this field. But there's a greater consciousness, which is the matrix field of this planet that connects every one of us to each other, whether we like it or not. It's absolutely true. You can think of anyone anywhere and be connected to them immediately. And, that is just something that we cannot wrap our heads and hearts around because we've never been taught to believe that, but it's absolutely the case, and that's why my distance healing sessions work. But you've also got to know that you have to be very respectful and not be influencing anyone that you're thinking of because you're messing with their free will. Yeah. And you're breaking the grand rules. But we are all connected. And here's the thing. So if we're trying to solve a problem that we struggle to have an answer for, and we're working with our own field, which is everything that we've ever come across in our lives and learned in our lives is stored in this field. But we can reach outside this field to all of the fields and the Akashic records. Mm-hmm. So there is no answer that is not available to you. How you approach it determines whether you'll be successful or not. So the important thing to remember is that your body has a frequency of energy that you're in the current moment. So however you're feeling right now, there's a vibration to that. And if you're sitting in the vibration of, I don't know, but I want to know, I don't know, but I want to know, and I'm seeking for this answer, then you're not really in the vibration that's going to give you the answer. You're stuck in that vibration. So if you can imagine feeling into a vibration of higher knowledge, wisdom, integrity, authenticity, you start to get into higher level frequencies and higher levels of knowledge. So you're literally changing the station of you, mm-hmm. Your station, who you are. Just like an old TV set, you don't like
Yeah.
what you see and you get up and you change the channel. Remember we had to turn that dial, Debbie? Remember I used to ask you to change that dial? But the thing is that we don't realize that we have that. And it comes down to frequency. Um, there's a list of frequencies right here that I keep handy that, you know, are for different things. And those are literally different stations that we can tune into. And once you know that you're a lot like an old TV set that you can change the channel on, and when you're trying to solve problems, you know, tune into a higher level of wisdom, integrity. Always include integrity, because the people that are, or the energy that's going to be answering those questions for you, will be looking for integrity because you're in a higher level. And integrity has to be a part of it, and so does authenticity. If you're going in looking for a high level answer for a nefarious reason, you're not getting it, right? So you've got to kind of be authentic and have integrity and tune into the higher channel to get the higher level answer. I'll give you a good example where the last place that I was in full employment, there was a big problem that came up with a device that was being installed that we all of a sudden found out that we cannot hook it up. We can't hook it up because the electricity company would not let us. They wouldn't let us hook it up because the inrush value of that device was going to be so high. It was 3 times the value of what was being supplied. So it was a problem that needed to be solved. And everyone involved with the installation of this thing gave up on trying to solve the problem. They didn't want anything to do with it. It was out of their wheelhouse, and they just they looked quickly for the answers and saw that there wasn't any, and they gave up, and it was therefore handed to me. The problem was handed to me. And I sat with the owner and we looked at ways of solving the problem. And you know, the sensible ways that were available was something big and noisy and stinky that they didn't want in the park at all, right? So that method of solving the problem was out. The second method was a couple of $1 million and probably 9 months to a year away through assessments to even be available to be installed. So we only had less than 3 months to solve the problem. So that solution was out. So all of the things that were publicly known and available to solve the problem weren't available in the time frame that we were looking for, or in the dollar value that we were looking for. So I sat with this for a few days, and it, in that higher energy, it led me to understand that I've already been down this road before. And when that thought came into me, I realized that when I was in civil construction, we used to do a lot of work in the middle of nowhere where power issues were a problem all the time. So really what was being reflected back to me was that I've already done this before. I've solved this type of problem before. This one is just a little bit different. The demands were much higher, you know, in the inrush values and the money being spent. So it led me to go back in my mind and connect to those times, that mindset, and it led me to solving the problem almost right away. I found a company in Texas that had the exact piece of equipment that I needed, that was going to be whisper quiet. It was less than $1 million by far, and it was available now. And to get approval for it, I could get approval for it now because it was a technology that is already frequently in use that didn't need to be assessed. So the problem couldn't have been solved more perfectly
Yeah.
if anyone tried. And the reason it wasn't available to the people that looked in the first place was because it was old technology. The technology was 14 years old, and the world has already moved on from it.
Yeah.
And the people that were still using it were very small groups here and there in remote locations because it made sense and it was affordable and it was very reliable. So that issue got solved rather quickly, which made everybody's eyes bug out. And it also made them take it for granted because it was solved so quickly and so easily that, they must have just missed it. They would have never found it. It was just those steps that took me there
Yeah.
and made it available to solve the problem. So if you have something that is complicated or something that isn't normal, and you think that you're not going to find this answer, check what frequency you're in and try to change your frequency before trying to solve the problem,
Mhm.
because it does make a difference. It makes a big difference. And that's the best example I can give you, but I have hundreds of examples like that.
Yeah.
They're just not on that grand of a scale, right? But that was a big one, and like I said, everyone was giving up on it, and it was handed to me, and I think it was, people were already counting it out when it was handed to me. I
Yeah.
was kind of the last resort
Less.
for that problem solving. But no,
Do they know how you came about solving that problem?
there's no point in me trying to explain it to that type of, I'm going to say, people,
Yeah.
because they're not. I'm going
Yeah.
to say in a belief
Yeah.
of anything outside of themselves. Meaning thinking that you can connect the heart and mind to something outside of yourself.
Yeah.
Like very few people in where I was have any great belief in that.
Yeah.
Once you prove it, they might say, "Oh, I do," but that's not the truth of the matter. If the truth of the matter was to be known, they don't have a belief in it.
Yeah.
I mean, at the very least, they might have a small belief in some kind of a god or something. But if I was to say I'm going to solve this problem by connecting to the field, you know, that would have lowered my stature
Yeah.
quite a bit. And not that I care about that, because I'm almost always openly saying authentically how I do things. I don't have any secrets.
Yeah.
It's just, if I don't need to say it, I am not going to say it, because I know that there's so much explanation that is going to come from their questions afterwards. And, they want to have to respect me for the job I'm doing. But, it could lessen that respect quite a bit if they think that this guy's nuts. He's nuts.
That's right.
you know, and you can't blame them
No, not at all.
for that, because that's what society has taught us to do.
Yeah.
And
But things are
they
changing now.
well, slowly, yes.
Yeah.
They've taught us to have a narrow vision of cut and dry. It's either here or it isn't. Very realistic type
Yeah.
of way of being. And it's kind of a sad thing for people that they are limiting themselves so much with
Yeah.
that mindset. If they would open up and, try to learn how to do this connection,
You know, their whole world could change.
so much stuff comes rushing in, you
Yeah.
know, and then, you know, to know that you can actually change the channel you're on. And that is true in so many situations. It's not just when we're seeking information, Debbie. Like if you know that you're going to have a stressful encounter with someone, like let's just say you're newly dating someone and you're going to meet their parents for whatever reason
Yeah.
for the first time. You know, what energy are you going to walk into that with? Check the channel you're on before you go in there.
Yeah.
Like you want to have your heart and mind in the right place. And a lot of times people don't think that they have the option to change the channel. They're just going to go and be the best that they can. Just remember that you're not pretending to be someone you're not. Every one of those channels belongs to you. Like it's you on
Yeah.
that channel. Like we need to know that we're not being fake. We are literally being who we are.
Yeah.
But we have all of these frequencies that are us as well. Like when you're sad, that's your sad frequency. It's not anyone else's, it's
No.
yours. When you're in love, that's your loving frequency. It's not anyone else's, it's yours.
Yeah.
When you're angry, that's your angry frequency. It's not anyone else's, it's yours. But what you don't realize is that there's literally hundreds of frequencies to choose. Like you can have two states at the same time. You can be on two channels at the same time.
What do you mean?
Well, you can be loving, caring, and you know all the like when you're thinking about being loving, there's a whole bunch of variable frequencies that go on both sides of that, like empathy and compassion
Yeah.
and care, and like those are all states of love,
Yeah.
right? So is integrity, and you know you just got to know that there's all these little variations to every one. Anger can have a whole bunch of little variations.
That's true. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the frequencies are very precise. And to think of yourself being able to include one of them and then add in little harmonics of the others, whatever it is that is suiting you.